Hey, everybody. Welcome to Making Connections with Allie. How is everybody doing today? I hope everybody's having a good day, getting started off to a great start. I hope your week went well. I hope you got some time this weekend just to chill out, relax. But let me tell you about something that's going on in the Charlotte area before we get into this interview with Mr. Clayton Savage. I always go the wrong way. Sitting to my there is a community concert in Charlotte today. Let me tell you, if you're in Charlotte or the surrounding area, make sure you get out there today. I think from 12 to 2, there's a vaccination clinic, but from 2 to 6, there is a lineup that you don't want to miss. It's a community concert sponsored by Mr. Excitement, which is Brandon Chuck Brown and friends. And it is starts from 2 to 6, and it's at the Movement School Eastland. And the address there is 5249 Central Avenue. That's 5249 Central Avenue in Charlotte. Take you some lawn chairs, call you up some family and friends. The lineup is amazing. So I just wanted to let you know, if you're trying to figure out what you want to do today, head your way to Charlotte. But we're going to jump into this interview because I'm so excited. We have Mr. Clayton Savage with us. And how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. I'm with you.
I'm good. So Clayton Savage, I'm gonna read your short bio here. Is that he is the producer, performer, and songwriter for with an original style that combines his industry veteran skills with the latest recording technologies to produce tracks that are sure to keep dance floors filled and have the whole room singing. Now, we're going to play some of his songs today, and I think you will definitely agree. So, he's with over 30 years in the music industry, first as a producer for legendary Sugar Hill Records, graduated into a solo career with Capitol EMI, and a continued career as a producer whose solo career shows no signs of stopping. Clayton is as fresh as ever, no matter when you discover his music. Hey, Clayton, how are you?
Hey, that's beautiful. Thank you, Allie. That's beautiful.
Yeah, so I know I gave a little bit of information, but for people who may be still thinking Clayton Savage, I heard that name. Tell us, who is Clayton Savage?
Man, I'm like Windex. You know what I'm saying? I've been on all your windows, all your
Right.
radio. I mean, you're right. I go back to Sugar Hill. I'm one of the second generation of the Furious Five with Melly Mel and Scorpio. When Mel did his solo album, I was producing. I did like 90% of the tracks. I'm singing all over it and playing the instruments. But when it comes to Sugar Hill, I was blessed, man, to work with like Sylvia Robinson. She's you know a genius. She's a female Barry Gordy, and we owe her a great debt in the music industry. She's so what is it? What is that? Unsound. I don't know what it is, but we really need to discover who the powerhouse women that have kept this
Mm.
business going are. And I was blessed to work with both Sylvia Robinson and Sylvia Rome. Sylvia Rome's big sister.
Oh,
Sylvia Robinson was mama, and she taught me the business. That's why I can talk about Frankie Crocker because I know him. And miss, Magic and BLS and all that stuff. Yeah, and I mean, I was there. I actually come from Norfolk, so I go back to when we had black radio.
mhm.
WRAP, Soul Ranger, and all of that stuff. Steve Crumbly, as his career was coming up. I mean, I just been in the game a very, very long time at a very deep and intimate level. She taught me the business. I had to know the business, So Spider Harris, I mean, you name it. I know people, man. It's just been a cool ride. I mean, but also, I got to work with Cheryl Pearl, Sugar Hill Gang. We were producing for Sugar Hill long and hard, lots of tracks.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's just rich. What came through Sugar Hill's doors is amazing. I remember when Regina Bell was a receptionist for Sugar
Oh,
Hill.
really?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you just name it. I mean, kicking it with Evelyn Champagne King and Just everybody, it's just that was the spot, that was the other Motown.
Hmm.
So,
So do
I
you
could go
still
on.
keep in touch with a lot of these people?
Excuse me?
So do you still keep in touch with a lot of these people?
Well, not really. I mean, like, of course, I got Mel's number and stuff like that, and I talked to Cheryl. We kick it, but everybody's just kind of busy doing their thing. They're
Yeah.
busy. And the business is a little different than it used to be. It's just different. It's different.
It's like it's just different. Do we want to jump into some of those differences?
I have no problem doing it.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
well,
well, before we
one,
get there, let's talk about how you got into the business. Like, because we all, when we little, we sitting around with our cousins and stuff, singing and dancing and things like that. But how did you actually be like, oh, this is my passion. This is what I want to do.
well, I have I'll say it's a gift that I can play multiple instruments, and I never had to be taught.
Hmm.
It's like so it's one of those things that if I could touch it, I could play it,
Hmm.
and or if I could imagine myself playing it, or understand what the instrument and how it was used,
Mm-hmm.
what sound it produced, even though it didn't look like it. There's a lot of sounds that come from each instrument. If you think about the history of music prior to sampling, it was really what, four instruments that's responsible for almost every track that you ever heard: the piano, the drums, the bass, and the guitar.
Right.
You can
True.
bring you can bring in the orchestra, but now we're going down a deep well when we bring in the orchestra. Again, we're still talking about natural instruments, but we're talking about the finesse of the skill, you know,
Hmm.
and we can take that any direction. We can go all the way to Disney with that. If you listen to the genius of the music of the Disney tracks, the Bugs Bunny, the stuff that's going
Right.
in the background, the amazing sounds that are coming up out of that. I mean, and then the Foleys. If we were to talk about the Foley sounds, and we're talking about what became what's considered FX. They just call them effects. So, and then we have to talk about the skills of the engineers, because engineering is the key to every single thing. Every engineer is a I say every track that's ever been recorded, the engineer is a co-producer, whether he has been noted as such or not. When it comes to audio, the engineer is the man. And I, again, was blessed to work with, some of the best in the game. Steve Jerome, the king of the throne, man, got me straight right away about what engineering is and what producing is. I mean, you think that you write the track and then the engineer puts his hands on it and it begins to take shape into what becomes known as a record. Hands down. You can't get around it. And one of his proteges, um, Chris Lord Alge, was the second, the gene that's responsible for like the Shannon let the music play.
Uh-huh.
Planet Rocks. He's the one that really rocked the SSL when it came in. So I was working with him and his brother Tom Lord Alge, and you just go across the board. But I was just like there when all the gear, the stuff that they emulate with UAD software and all of that stuff. I know how it's really used. So, the Marley Marls and all of that. I done kicked it with everybody and done records with a lot of folks, man. It's just real. Fat Joe when he was hating R&B, being R&B and rap and all that kind of stuff. It's like, come on, man, that's the same thing. It's black music, black music
Right.
is R&B, and R&B is everything at the core of everything good anyway. So
So true.
I'm
Well,
sorry, I
yeah.
don't mean to dominate. Go ahead, dear.
No, you're fine because you actually kind of hit on one of my topics. I was going to say, we hear those titles, producer, writer, performer, but sometimes, like, I've often wondered, okay, so like, what part does the producer play? Because like, even in movies, you have like a director, then you have a producer, and I just used to think that the producer just, was like the financial person, and they gave him a title because, you know, he helped because they had a director. But in
Mhm.
music, if you're the producer of that project, what does that look like?
You organize it. Um, First off, producer can mean exactly what you just thought.
Okay.
You're responsible for the financing. You almost never see the words financing in anything that has to do with the entertainment industry. That's part of the mystique of the business is that very few titles are made public, but many hats are worn. There
Mm,
are, and unfortunately, in this day and age, because they've only advertised a couple of those hats, they've come to represent all areas and aspects in the mind of the public about who does what and how it's done.
right.
Um, the producer is the person. Okay, let me go to the top first.
Okay.
Alycia Jones is a producer.
Okay.
Okay, so when we had 4 tracks and 8 tracks, it meant something different. But once the Quincy Jones era came, who also Steve Jerome was one of the engineers for him as he transitioned, um, from the history to today, and we came into multi-track recording, 24 tracks to 48 tracks to 72 tracks.
Oh,
The
wow.
producer is responsible for picking the engineers. There's no, there used to be at least 3 different engineers involved. The one that handled the actual tracking and the recording, and then the ones that did the session,
Hmm.
session or the second level of engineering when different musicians would come in, and then there's a mix engineer, and then there's their mastering engineer. So, but the producer is responsible generally for picking that team. That's why you'll see that team when it's working. You'll see the same names over and over again. He's also responsible for the musicians, and Quincy he's the epitome of it. He's the top of it. I really learned what multi-track recording was because when you have 24 tracks and everybody was talking about having 24 tracks, let alone having 48, that means that you can bring in all the musicians that you want to play on each song, and you pick pieces. The producer picks not only the best musicians and engineers, but which parts are going to make it to the actual final mix. So
Okay.
what's not known publicly is many people have played on many tracks that you've heard. You may have only heard a couple of names, and many of the stars like Ray Parker Jr. and stuff like that, or even the rock band Toto, because everybody was a session musician. They all go in and lay their tracks down on any song you've heard, and the producer sits there and picks which parts make it to the final mix. Um, there, I hope I answered that well
Oh,
for you.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, because that's what, that's what I think a lot of people like to know a little bit more, like the behind the scenes things, how that works.
Mhm.
And, and just for somebody had sent me a question about when they saw the flyer, and they were like, ask them about like Empire. If you ever watch those shows, are they like accurate? Were they, pretty true to how sessions go and how things work?
Very, very much so. Especially the first season of Empire, Terrence
Mm-hmm.
Howard. Right? I
Mm-hmm.
really took my hat to him because he played that very well. Especially his representation of the passion that had to be behind the business decisions. Although his older son was well educated and understood financials and things like that and contracts, he wasn't a music man.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge difference between now and then. Those guys that started the A&M Records, Herb Alpert, and Sony and Capitol Records, they were all music men. So that path, it was like, I'm not going to have somebody who doesn't understand music, write music, record music, produce music, getting involved because they're going to make decisions based purely on financials.
Right.
That's the difference between the then and the now. They grew acts back in the day. They knew they had the potential. It was going to take a little while before they caught what was going to be their niche in terms of sound. They didn't come out niched as they do now. Now they come out gimmicked. Um, you know what I'm saying? So to speak,
Mm-hmm.
or back then you weren't obligated to sound like the last guy's hit record. Uh, that diversity.
Right.
And again, we're only talking about 4 to 6 different instruments making up the whole thing. Take sampling now, and all those instruments or most of those sounds that you hear are have captured over those decades, just those 6 instruments and variations. And that's what's happening. But let me just touch on too. There's also the executive producer. Now, the executive producer, see, there's a financial objective at the end of the rainbow here when it
Right.
comes to which is the business side of the music. So I was leaning on the music side, but the business side says that that producer is reliable. He's going to pick reliable and trustworthy people that can deliver not just what he hears, but they're going to bring their talent and their creativity, their style. That's, again, I'm gonna lean on Quincy because Quincy could put together a band that had every hit that you had heard for 20 years. You know, the Brothers Johnson are playing bass and guitars. Rod Temperton from Heat Wave, and the writer of those songs are writing Off the Wall and playing the keyboards. Greg Gaines it's cruising through the whole thing. Patty Austin is excellent. It's sounding like any background that you need, and so you may, whether it's a Michael McDonald record, he may be on it. See, Michael may be on the backing tracks. Michael Jackson may be on the backing tracks, and they're just not asking for this credit. It's just part of it, and so forth and so on. And so, if you liked Heat Wave, well, what made Heat Wave happen is also happening on that. You got all of that. And so the executive producer is the one who's got his eye on, all right, what's this going to cost to make, and what are we trying, and what's the break even point?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part of the business that makes it happen. That part at the end of the day, and in today's society, there's some shortcuts that they take. Remember, record labels didn't write music. They didn't produce music. They didn't write any music. I can explain a record deal in a couple of sentences. A record deal is when a guy goes to, it's presented to a label with a bunch of music that hasn't made any money, hasn't proven itself anywhere, but it sounds commercial enough based on what they're already doing. They can't buy it from you because it has no value, so they make you a deal. That's a deal.
Okay. Okay.
In under a minute. That's a whole record deal. That's all it is to it. There's nothing else to it. Everything else happens because of the organization and the structure of the record label. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing to the point where I can't even explain all the things that need to be done, and they know who it needs to be done through. That's the executive production part of it. Those executive decisions, the reliability, the repeatability, the consistency. Another one, and Cynthia Horner was responsible for Right On Magazine and making so many stars through that, including the Stoney Jackson. Who's kind of like,
Yes.
He did that part with the I Can Dream About You for Dan Hartman, and everybody thinks that's his song. He did it so well. We didn't know what Stoney was going to be known for, but he was in every magazine. And Cynthia, she was responsible for handling that part of the media. Quincy took rap to a whole nother level, I suspect, because his daughter was dating Tupac, but he did it with Vibe magazine, and that brought the polish and the professionalism into hip hop that wasn't there before. Relating to the media, it turned it into something that looked like something and not just sounded like something.
Mm-hmm.
It polished up that roughness. Those are the executive decisions. So those are the executive producers, and above them is the person that's in charge of A&R and artist and repertoire, which really means the catalog. That music makes money in perpetuity forever. Once it's released forever, and its responsibility is to make itself known and be recorded. The ultimate objective of each release is to be re-recorded by as many artists possible.
Really?
That's something that's very little known about it. The guy who cuts it, of course, is all passionate about it, and whatever version that you are exposed to, when you are exposed to it, if you like it, then you consider that your version of it. But you can go back as far as Rockin' Robin and Don't Make Me Over, and even Barry Manilow's Mandy, which was Brandy, which was recorded before him. Every song that's ever been a hit, for the most part, has been a remake. It may have not, Carl Carlton, Everlasting Love, man, 26 different people recorded that. He just happens to have the one that people know the best.
Yeah.
Great Balls of Fire. I mean, come on, we can't sleep on Little Richard. Oh, we can't even sleep on
For real.
the Isley Brothers and all of the songs that were done by Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and so forth and so on. The whole, generally a huge part of the Rolling Stones and the Beatles covering black acts. It's just whoever you're exposed to first, you think they are the only ones that did it, but there's 161 countries where music exists. So, from Muzak to Duzak, it's going to happen. It's going to be re-recorded in the tongue. You could be sitting in Bangladesh and your song can be playing and you're not even recognize it because it's in a different language. It's a Mandarin if you're in China, so. And that's what folks have to understand. Music has always been a global thing. That's when it's really a hit. And until Hill came along, hip hop was not global. It became global under Sylvia Robinson. She got the first major distribution deal for rap music through MCI. Or not the MCI, MCA. One's a phone company, one's a music label. MCA. And Jerry Ade, who was working at Norby Walters, was responsible for taking us around the world. I did the tour with Mel, and we went around the world, and everywhere we touched the ground, hip hop was there. I went to Japan, and I was waiting to see some Bruce Lee stuff, and everybody looked like New York. I felt cheated, I was like, wait a minute. Are you sure that we took off and we landed somewhere else? I mean, other than their actual faces, everything there was just gully, man. It was like, and better. They had better gear. Everybody was wearing the gear. I'm like, this is ridiculous, But the albums had different names. The songs had different names, and they have been doing that, since God knows when. For some reason, the powers that be. And I understand it from a psychological perspective. People are drawn to that which looks like them, even past relationships. But you've got the Isley Brothers hits with Summer Breeze and things like that. And on the cover, you got four white guys in cardigans. And
that is wild.
And that's how our music got around. It took Motown a tremendous amount of time before they were able to actually get the black faces on the cover of their albums and to have it accepted. But once they accepted it, once it was pushed by the other artists, I mean, the Rolling Stones, we got to tip our hats to them. We're getting these great documentaries of James Brown, and Chuck Berry because of them. But that's because they had respect for the music and they have the power to do that. And
Right.
And I don't mean to drag on into it. I just know what I know, and it's important that everybody understand that when somebody is making it now, like the Baby, although it's not advertised, there's a lot of professionals handling the back end of that. You can listen to Bodak Yellow, and then or Megan's first release. Even go back to Wayne with 50, and you can hear the sound, the audio difference from that, what was a demo tape, and to their next professional release. Tremendous sound differences. But what is actually happening is they're ready. Like, they're ready. They've got their style down. They have their confidence, and they're delivering it. They're bringing it on the tracks. That's what you hear. You can also hear a lot of cloning and clowning of it, but that's also another requirement of just business itself. If you've got the success of any one product, you clone it 3 times, four if you can, which is why you got knockoffs of Coca-Cola, and you got knockoffs of the Baby, and you got knockoffs of Prince, and you got knockoffs of Michael, and that's just the way that rolls, But it doesn't detract. I'm not detracted from it. Those folks are ready. When you hear Cardi, right. when you hear Megan, when you hear the Baby, they're ready. Those guys, they're delivering it, and the guys behind them that are responsible for putting the tracks together and engineering. Just look at the credits on one of Drake's songs. It's as simple as what is that, Tootsie Slide or whatever. Just look, read. They gotta read. We don't get the album credits anymore. We used to get those album credits,
True,
those writer
true.
checks. But just look and see how many different folks are involved in writing what sounds so simple to you. Where that song comes from, you may have up 9 to 11 writers, and that's what the business. It's talent, not just a single talent on every
Hmm.
track, but the right combination of talent being produced. Khaled knows what he's doing. He's producing. He's bringing. He's doing his Quincy thing. He's bringing together that which works. I got to tip my hat to the dude. He's got Jay-Z and Nas hollering at each other. We're going to get some great music out of that, man. Maybe a
Right.
great tour. I'm hoping I can slide out there and do something for him.
There you go. Come on.
Just your mic or something, Jake. you know, Mr. Carter, Mr.
Right.
Carter.
That sound. I mean, it's all just so amazing, because you always just see the artist come out and perform, and of course that's amazing in itself. But when you start thinking about all the things that are happening in the background, how do we get here to produce a whole album? Because you hear people talking about, I've been working on this album for a couple of years, and you're like, what's taking, people who don't know, they're like, what's taking so long? You just go in there and sing the songs, right? But
But what the thing about the entertainment industry is it's one, and I address it as a whole, it's audio and video. So whether it's a movie or, or if it's just an audio album, so to speak, it's there's magic when it comes to the entertainment industry
it really
that,
is.
but it's magic when it comes to every industry. It just happens to be that when it comes to movies and music, that magic is mysterious, but it's no more mysterious than your KFC. It's pretty much the same thing. You don't know where the chicken comes from. You don't know where it was
True.
raised. You don't know what it was fed. You don't know when it was born. You don't know when it was transported. You don't know where the grease that it was cooked in came from. You don't know. There's so many things, that somebody's trying to call me. There's so many things involved in the mystery and the magic of you just being able to walk in there and order a number 5 with somebody who doesn't speak English or your language or whatever. You can go to any country, and if you see how organized that is, if you stop and think about it, buying a record is one of the
Clayton, is
least
someone still trying to call
expensive
you?
investments that anyone can ever make. And yet, the the transfer of trust is so great to become a fan that something that might cost you 99 cents to, to $10 at best requires a deep commitment. And it's full of all types of automatopoeia and magic. So it's just, and mystery. So it's just a different relationship, but it's similar. I mean, your relationship with your chicken joint is the same as your relationship with your artist. Your mama might make better chicken, but you ain't gonna spend $10 to get it from her, and neither are your friends.
Right.
So your brother might make great music, but you're not gonna spend $10 on his track until you're committed. And once you have that commitment, there's a transfer of trust that happens.
Hey
As long as
Clayton,
the
are you
artist
do
doesn't
you
violate
Clayton?
that.
Can you hear me?
No?
Do you have your
Oh,
hand
can you
over
hear me?
your?
Did something happen? Oh, did you lose me?
I can't hear
Oh,
you as well.
no, I didn't push it, but well, I had to get rid of that call. Let me see. Am I there?
I can hear you, just not as well as before.
I'm not on speaker. Hmm. What do I do? I still see her, and I think she still hears me.
I
But
tell
I
you
think when
what,
that other call came in,
let us. We're gonna go to a commercial and play one of your songs, and then you can come out and come back in, and then we'll see what happens with that sound. Okay. So, you guys, while Clayton is working on the sound for so we can hear this good information that he's telling us, we are going to go to a quick commercial, but it's not really a commercial. We're actually going to play some of Clayton's music. So, hold on and tell us what you think.
get them out.
I don't know about you or what you came here to do, but if you wanna have fun, party people, come on, baby, come on, baby, come on.
I feel like I'm a new thing. I feel like a brand new man. When you walk like I do, talk like I do, you can do anything. I feel like a new man. I feel like a brand new man. When you walk like I do, talk like I do, you can do anything.
Trying to take you back to 80, maybe not to 5. Fly Jock spinning, keep the party alive. Everybody got a girl on the dance floor, and even Fat Joe ain't leaning no more. I'd rather watch my man spin than watch a video. You know your old deep from your Coolio. You had a father MC, a mother named Melody, and if you came to party, you couldn't catch a felony. And if you had a crew, you knew what you gonna do. Throw the band rapper out and go boo-hoo. The butterfly never gonna get old, and everybody still love a Tootsie Roll. Tootsie Roll.
I feel like I'm a new man. I feel like a brand new man. When you walk like I do, talk like I do, you can do anything. I feel like a new man. I feel like a brand new man. When you walk like I do, talk like I do, you can do anything. I am feeling your desire. Wanna take you higher. I'm burning 'cause the roof is on fire. I am not a liar.
It's not a lie.
I just wanted to get close to you. Ain't it what you wanted me to do? All for you. Spin around, baby, turn around for me. Wanna see you at the middle. Let me love you down. 'Cause I want you so bad. Close to me. Working it on the floor. Makes me want you more. I feel like I'm a new man. I feel like a brand new man. When you walk like I do, talk like I do, you can do anything. I feel like a new man. I feel like a brand new man. When you walk like I do, talk like I do, you can do anything. I feel like I'm a new man. I feel like a brand new man. When you walk like I do, talk like I do, you can do anything. I feel like a new man. I feel like a brand new man. When you walk like I do, talk like I do, you can do anything.
Feeling like a grown ass man. Put them up in the air, let me hear your hand.
Coming in the door with the flipper Sensi, down with the sound called BDP. If you wanna join the crew, well you must see me. You can't challenge Karen or the one Molly, because Shannon Molly Mall is rhyming like the gay, picking up the mic and he don't know what to say. Saying hip hop, busting out the Queensbridge, saying like a child when you know the challenge. Tell them again, we come to tell them again. Tell them again, we come to tell them.
I love it when you call my name. It feels so good on me. I wanna see you smile. You know I really love it when you call me by my name.
I feel like I'm a new man. I feel like a brand new man. When you walk like I do, talk like I do, you can do anything. I feel like a new man. I feel like a brand new man. When you walk like I do, talk like I do, you can do anything.
When you walk,
You can do
it ain't a party for one, so you wanna come on, leave your problems and your troubles at home.
You
Come
can do
on.
anything.
Hey,
Yes, come on.
and that's easy on the rap handling that. You know, that's my D.
Okay, come on. I saw her name.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Mhm. Oh yeah, she's gifted. And she keeps me organized. We were just chatting just now. She came to help me sort
Just
out.
sound back.
And I said, hey, you know what part of you is in the camera? I said, this is going to be her highest rated show ever. You just watch.
Thank you, D.
She's over there getting her purple on.
Yes. But so
Thank you.
tell us a little bit more about that song and, what it's about, or, what inspired you to do that song.
Where I started, I go all the way back in hip hop to the greats, and I really learned to respect actually what hip hop is because of my relationship with Melly Mel and Sugar Hill. To sit in the studio with him and watch it, to be a part of him putting things together as we worked on his projects, then you understand that it's not flawed to work with Cheryl the Pearl and, like I said, Sylvia Robinson, and understand that they're professionals and how he took his intelligence and his gift, and it became things, like The Message, and and Survival, and and then Then we got with the Sugar Hill gang. The Sugar Hill situation is so strong that the Fresh Prince is making money off of it with Carlton doing Apache. and
Truly.
not, and some of the guys' raps were written by Cheryl. Again, that expertise of that. Now, as we're going through that, the Big Daddy Kane's, Run DMC, and all of those guys were people that we rubbed and did tours with all day long. As well as the Shirelles. I was working with Ronald Isley before R. Kelly was on some of his independent projects and albums for artists like Lisa Danielle and things like that. So what's happening now, I don't want to lose any of that. That is the foundation of everything. That's where this all really is about. And we need to hold that standard high. That is the oil in the earth. That's where hip hop is. That's why I say anywhere you walk on this planet, hip hop is in the soil of it. It's in the dirt. It's everybody standing on top of that. So I got to tip my hat to it because I might be a hip hop producer, but I'm a singer. I'm an R&B singer. They say I sing. I got a lot of voices and personalities, and you hear them on the tracks. But I learned to rap the right way. I never just opened my mouth and did it, and I respect the guys because each one of them brought something to the game. The Coolios, I mean, you just go down the list, and I mean, Father MCs, and if I get a chance to work with KRS, I'm going to do it. If I could work with any of those guys that feel like they want to do some stuff and be on the beats and keep it real, because that's what it really is about, and that Funk Fest and all of that stuff, all the festivals and just what it was and what it is. That's really where I come from, and that's what I love doing. So. And I love technology,
Mm-hmm.
I love, through music, again, I was brought into technology. And so there's no reason that we can't still pump it like that, DMX, rest in peace. I'm looking forward to his new album, I am so happy that Jay and Nas is getting it together, because that's what needs to happen. Whatever quibbles we had in the past, we need to let it go. Those guys need to be on the road, all of them. That this generation needs to be exposed to what made it, to all of it, all last 30 of the years plus. They need to know where this all came from, and to reduce the hate and misogynistic mentality, and bring the salt and peppers and the MC lights back out, so you see the other sides of ladies and not just the top side and the bottom side.
Right.
Because there's a lot of, the baby can actually rap, but you don't hear him really rap until he does something with like Dua Lipa or something like that. Now he's showing, for some reason there seems to be the assumption that when it comes to blacks, we only like that which is dark, but we have supported every type of music that's ever come out. And the same with the whites, from basketball to Barry White. We're all in this together. We've always enjoyed each other's music. We've got the same musicians from Toto playing all over the George Benson albums and Cheryl Lynn's. And so, the nonsense and the hypocrisy of it all is what, needs to end so that we can just enjoy the plethora of music like we do, And anytime I see somebody who says they only listen to this or that, I feel sorry for them. That's a small minded. That's a problem. If somebody says I only listen to country music, well, guess what? Your country hit was just an R&B hit 5 minutes ago. It was called "When You Were Mine" by Prince. Oh, how about that? You didn't know that was happening. I didn't. And they'll say I don't like Prince. Well, yes, you do. You don't know what you like. So
true.
Take that responsibility off the table and just enjoy the music. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And that's why every song that comes out probably has at least 4 or 5 different mixes on it, whether you hear them all or not. You walk in a Target and you're going to hear your song played a different way. You're going to get in an elevator. You might not even know what's going down. It might be WAP, but it's played with some mallets on some vibraphone.
Right.
You just don't know. And our comedians and all of that is a part of hip hop. The Eddie Murphy did well with the Bus Boys, and he's a musician in his heart. He's actually very good at it, and he had Rick James behind him producing them. of this goes together. It just, I mean, Patricia Rushen played on Prince's first album. Yes, the official release is that Prince plays all his instruments, but no one ever definitively said he only plays on his own album, nor that he's the only one who plays any of his albums. It just says, yeah, he's multi-talented and can play all the instruments. It's the imagination of people and again, that magic that wants to run around and say, oh, you know, Samuel Jackson, if he's the star of a movie, you know, he's going to be there. That's the only person you got to focus on, or Tom Cruise. And you don't, unlike movies, you see all those credits at the end, those are jobs. Right. And that's what the industry is about and should be about. Not, even though Drake did great with saying, that's all me, and that's all me too. It takes 1,000 people to make a hit record. 1,000, at least at a minimum, to make a hit record. Everybody doing their job. The song's got to be good, but it's just got to be in the right time, and everybody's got to feel the vibe from the top down. You know, from the A&R department all the way down to the and everybody does their part to help sell everything. You know, every merchant, every retail, every cashier, every bus driver, cab driver, you and me having a conversation. You know, every time we open our mouth, that's marketing. Don't be shy. Right. Once you commit to that artist, back in the day, we used to put the poster on the wall. And then your friend could come in the room and see that poster and go, oh, you like such and such? Yup. That was once you committed. Remember, we're only talking about something that's barely $15 at its peak to purchase, you know? But you won't spend one dime until you commit. And once you commit, you put that poster up on the wall and you stood behind that person. And whether it was AC/DC or, you know, or Brandy or Jaleesa from a different world, it doesn't matter. And once you made that commitment, that was the transfer of trust. And your artists that you supporting, you know, don't let me down, you know. You know, keep coming out with them good ones, or don't come out with them. Oh, I'll let you slide a couple of times. You know, you're a genius, Prince. I don't really understand the Around the World and the Day album, you know. But you had something on it. You had at least one song up there that you know, that kind of was segued while, because you were a fan, you kept playing that album. And as time went on, you caught into the groove of the other. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You didn't have the responsibility of defending your choice like you do now. It's weird because everybody's so in your face all the time. I don't really understand how an artist can be an artist and be online all day long talking to somebody, because they're not working on their artistry. And I think that's, the music is so containerized now, is that now that you have a hit, you're obligated to be whatever that songs seem to represent, as opposed to it just being a portion of you. And now we have the siloed effect. Now you got, okay, well, can Megan do anything else? I don't know, because the only requirement is for her to constantly be this one character. She has to be more diversified than that. You mean the baby's just out here punching in his promoters all day long? You know, how are you going to get a tour going? And if you just cuss it, if you only cuss up a storm, how are we going to play a festival with families? That's just not what it's. I mean, cuss words are nothing but metaphors, and if there's an appropriate word that can't be escaped to explain something, even Florida went damn. There's no other way to put it. You know, there's just no other way to put it, and that's perfectly allowed. And music allows that. You know, since Uncle Luke won that court battle, you're allowed to express yourself any way that you want. You know, you get your parental warning if you need it. I'm not so sure that they perennially warn anything now. You know, you
just know now. Just be careful.
It's coming. It's coming. You know, you know, it's coming, and ask questions. You know, you could. The thing I like about now is the audio quality is so hyped. It's like I can play the music for my son and show him that, okay, that's just something that's already been out, and he understands that. But there's no way in the audio realm that I can play something from 1980, heck, even the 90s really, and it stand next to something that's mixed and engineered now. that music today, you just the kick drum, the bass is the same thing. You don't even have anybody playing a bass melody anymore. But it's all paired with the sonics, the speakers of today. I mean, I had a banging system back in the 90s, and it sounded amazing. And the Seal album, which was well recorded, sounded fantastic on it. And and I got my nod from the old schoolers. They rolling by saying, I might not like your car, but I love your sound system. Hey, that's a highest order tip right there. Somebody
Right.
give me, that's a compliment. But when our music came out in the 80s and you're listening, we didn't even have decent sound systems. Let's be honest. The boombox really didn't boom. It was just portable,
Right.
The
Take it with you. Right.
Walkman, it's not Beats, So it just doesn't stand next to it in its audio quality, but in its production and its finesse and its and
Yeah.
polish, it supersedes the music of today.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, I got to tip my hat to Bruno Mars and what he's doing. He's got a combination of both things happening, and that's just beautiful. It's just amazing to hear that finesse with today's audio. So, Bruno, I'm hollering at you too, man. You and Anderson Paak. I done promoted both of y'all, especially you, Paak. You just don't know I'll be in the background doing I'm one of the 1,000. I'm member number 743 of the 1,000 that was promoting you before anybody knew who you were or was really talking about you. Team Red K was already working it out with DJ New York City Kid, all right, who's been behind the scenes of all you cats coming up, whether you know it or not. We've been working in the back to make sure that the real ones get where they're going. And that's what it's all about.
And that's what I was going to ask you, because I know our time is coming to an end. It's just I've just been sitting here listening, not even watching the time. But Red K Records. So what do you hope? What's coming next with that? What do you hope to do with Red K Records? What's Red K Records into right now?
Well, we standing behind the message of Dr. Umar Johnson, the ADHD. I'm a grown up and I keep it real, but music has always kept it real, from the message to whatever. The thing is, sometimes you have to serve it on a palette that's amenable to how people listen. The beat is more welcome before the message is, actually. And when the message is very real, it takes a second for it to be digested and and put into rotation as the high point of what you were listening to. The object of the actual song, the message, don't push me because I'm close to the edge. All of that took a back. It was in the back. It was the background of the beat. Right away that's happening. But over time, you're delivering a message. Dr. Umar happened to be delivering something very real. He represents a new generation of speakers to me. He's energized. He's in touch with hip hop. He's youthful enough, and most importantly, he doesn't necessarily come from the Martin Luther King Jr. generation, which I found to be a bit stale in the last 20 or missing in action, or maybe just pointing at the door in the picture of where he was shot, as opposed to bringing new energy and taking his concept and expanding on them further. And being misdiagnosed is one of the issues that we have in the African American community. Excuse me. Are you still there? Okay. Every time we have one thing about the generations of today is they can explain anything away with a diagnosis, as if that's excusable.
Right.
You're bipolar, so what? Why wouldn't you be? Why wouldn't you be in this world when your mixed messages are coming at you all day long, and they're coming at you these days from the top down? We just went through this whole thing with Trump. It is just really, it just shows how to continually stir up the fears of the past to hold people frozen, polarized in the moment. And here we are dealing with the same crap. And we're not really, it's not being explained in a way that makes sense, but more in a way that rekindles the old arguments especially, I mean, things like the Confederacy, and nobody takes the time to explain that those kids who are the descendants of those folks that represented the general leads and things like that. They're proud of their family. They have pictures of them
Right.
on. It doesn't mean the same thing to them when
Right.
when they're talking about when they have that flag and it just gets totally dismissed. Yes, this is America now, but I mean, nor can we talk about slavery in the same breath. You know, why somebody like Pharrell can say the problems of the past don't relate to the blacks of the current. It's like, well, yeah, we have cause and effect, but we still have to acknowledge our Harriet Tubmans. You know what I'm saying? We can't say, oh, she doesn't really, I can't relate to Harriet Tubman. That was 100 years ago. It's got nothing to do with it. You know, Harriet's related to somebody too. You know,
Exactly.
and we can't just dismiss people like that and say, oh, well, you know, that doesn't relate. It does relate, but don't be dismissive. That's the insult to it, you know,
Exactly.
and
Right. Right.
don't bring the violence and the ignorance into it, and don't keep using that to separate, because 1 minute that's what everybody was doing and having fun, and that's what Red K is about. Red K is about being inclusive. You know, I'm embracing the past and I'm embracing the present and I'm embracing the future, and I want us all to vibe together, because we really have all vibed together, you know, and there's no shame in the game. There's no, you just have a friend and they happen to be black. You have a friend and they happen to be white. Why should you say I have a white friend? I have a black friend. I listen to black music. How? Well, what is black music? I mean, you know, Charlie Pride. I mean, because of the skin, that's what makes it black. Is that what makes it white? I mean, you know, we just got to start tossing that crap out, and that's what Red K is about. It's the other side. It's really, you know, no one. I'm gonna give you something, a tip. People, only one person has ever asked me about what is Red K. It originated with me being a comic fan and read Kryptonite. It's that kryptonite that makes Superman act on all of his emotions, as opposed to having Superman has all the powers in the world to do anything, but he has the control and the restraint to do what is most right. That's what being human is about. That's what's going to take us from now into the future. We have all the power in the world to destroy ourselves, but we have to have restraint. Now, Red K is about taking all of that constraint and the other things that you want to be able to be emotional about, and giving you a platform to do it. If you got something you need to speak out about, or something you really feel, that's what music brought to my table. That's music gave me freedom in so many ways. That's what it represents. That's the real magic of movies and music. Music in reality gives you a chance to speak out in a very real way. Movies gives you the ability to visually represent it, but both of them allow you, with your imagination, to go from something that's completely fictitious to turning it into something that's actual and real and tangible, based solely upon your willpower and your drive to do so. And that's the beauty of it. That's the true mystery and the magic of movies and music, that you could take something that doesn't exist, brand yourself, relabel yourself, name yourself, aside from what your parents called you, embrace when you were overweight, and take that biggie and turn it into something, you know, take that eye, you know, take that crooked smile. You can take all of the things, once you embrace that thing, and take the puffiness of whatever. Once you embrace it, it becomes a superpower. And that's what it brings to the table. And that's what folks don't understand. But it's 100% genuine. Whoever you are, you know, DMX was real from day one, and he kept it real. And he was real in front of his fans. You see the ones who want to be in front of the camera that ain't really real, but that's their real desire. I call those the Kardashians. You know, you have that too. And there's something real about that too. It may not necessarily be something that you can eat off every day for the rest of your life, but that's real too, in a way. It's the fluff. But just to capture, you know, to recap, you know, Dr. Johnson had a powerful message that I think that we need to address. We need to stop making excuses for our behavior, embrace our behavior, and say, don't let somebody label you. Don't let them say that you've got this, and now they're going to drug you up and get you on Ritalin, and then tell you what you can and can't be. So you know, we all have a bit of attention deficit. How could we not?
Right.
coming from where we come from, how could we not be both bipolar? But from 9 to 5, you better have that under control. You can be as bipolar
Right.
as you want at 8:55, but at 9 o'clock, you on the clock. And you get off at 6. Okay, 6:01, you can go back to being bipolar.
Right.
And learn
Right.
and I hope we learn to listen to our children and learn how to talk to our kids and stop
That
just listening to them. Saying, "Oh, your music's
that's it.
garbage." Listen.
Help them
Participate.
along the way.
Participate.
Yeah.
Stop pointing the finger and blaming them and calling them and saying, "I can't do this and I can't do that." Especially when they know the hypocrisy of it all. That when we grew up, we did everything that they did. That's how we got here.
True.
The Richard Pryor albums, they didn't have warning labels originally, and they might have been hidden. But come on, you discovered your Richard Pryor albums and the Playboy magazines and everything else that came along with it, and the Betty Wrights and so forth. And there, I'll put a pin in it there.
We could just, I'm just sitting here like, we need like another hour of this.
Bring me back. You can bring me
So
back. I can
I was
buy
gonna
about.
say,
I got more music coming, and I'm enjoying showing. I always thought there was no limit to what I could do as long as I could imagine it, and that's what I want to show with my music. Is like, you're never going to be able to put a pin in me or just say, hey, this is what he does.
right.
I enjoyed the fact that Prince and Michael opened that door for us. It really. I mean, it went well beyond just what people thought they could be, and we had the benefit of who they were while they, in those years and taking that ride with them. But you're gonna always listen to one of my records and go, that's him too, or that's cool, and they should always be
Right.
enjoyable. And there's always something I'm saying in it, but I like to have fun. It really is about fun. I want to get back on the road, and just have fun. And I want to bring, the youngins that want to kick it with me. I want them to kick it with me. Oh, I got a space for you
Cool.
yeah, I got a space for you on the stage around the whole world. I'm known in many countries, and I want to get back out there and do it. And I want to and reveal my catalog. I got a catalog of music it's just I can entertain in the audience, man. It's cool.
I mean, I'm just like, yeah. I mean, everything. I want to get in the studio. I want to go on the road. No,
Yeah, come
but that's
on.
good, But that's no,
More of you, more
huh?
like you. You're ready. You're ready. You're a professional. You got your style together. You know what you're doing. We need more of you, Allie.
Well, thank you, Clayton. I really appreciate you coming on the show, and we are going to definitely have you back. And what we're going to do is we're going to play your next song, ADHD, and another little commercial that we have, and we're going to end the show that way. But I definitely, before we go, I want to say thank you because this has truly been enlightening. And, a lot of times, like you said, we forget about the past and, what it took to make things happen. And things are different this time. But, we got to bring both of those worlds together, because they each carry something, even like in the Bible where it talks about the young man, they're strong and they're vibrant, but there's wisdom in the older. So, when you bring it all together and work together, it makes something completely amazing. So I want to thank you. I want you to tell everybody how they can follow you, how they can get your music, and then we're going to go out on your song ADHD. Okay?
I think everybody can find anybody these days. Who's hiding? But you can find me on YouTube. Just did Clayton Savage YouTube, and I'm going to pop up. Now there's a cowboy out there named Clayton Savage too. Watch out. But if I can get him in one of my tracks, I'm gonna do it too. You know what I'm saying? And we you got ClaytonSavage.com, but really just go to the YouTube. That's going to get you there. And you may find me on Facebook. There's a Facebook page. Just lean on that YouTube and anywhere that you get music or listen to music, whether it's Spotify or Apple Music, that's where I am. Again, I'm the Clayton Savage. I'm
That's
that
it, man.
savage. I'm that savage before all my little children from Rihanna to Savage. What's his name?
Savage 21.
21. I was gonna say 22. I was gonna say 22 Savage. He ought to be. I've been Savage since I was 21. I got that song too. I got to put that one out.
Yeah,
Savage,
I was thinking, I was like, I forgot who I was talking to. He's everywhere.
yeah, I'm proud of them though. And they keep my name alive. They got it up in that front. Do it, Savage 21.
Mhm. No, I was talking about you. You're everywhere. I was like, some people just on Spotify because they're just starting out or whatever. But I was like, oh, I forgot I'm talking to Clayton Savage today. So thank you again. And thank you, Dee. I know you can hear us. Thank you so much for coordinating.
That's Miss Purple.
She got to come on and show us her hair next time.
Yes.
So we are going to go out on your song ADHD. And I appreciate you being on the show. This has really been a good show and very, I don't know, thought provoking, and just we got to remember things, but we got to keep it going. We got to keep, and when you were talking about the songs are in, have been mixed by so many people, because, you will be in a store and you'll be like, that beat. Oh, I've heard that beat before, but I don't know this song, but I heard that beat. So all the things that you shared with us, they just kind of bring some things to light for us, the listeners. And so thank you again. And you are welcome anytime. Whenever you got something going on, you or D, hit me up, let me know, and we'll make a space.
Buy music. Look, all I can say is buy music. Buy music. Don't just stream it. Buy it.
Yeah,
keep it going.
That part.
You're gonna want somebody to buy your stuff. Whether you're making food or music, you're gonna want it, or a hat. Yep. So we just gotta support it and keep it going.
Absolutely.
That's the vibe, y'all.
All right. Well, thank you. And thank you again, Miss D. And you guys stay tuned because there is another song coming. But as for us, we're going to go ahead and say our goodbyes. So until next time, as always, we're leaving you with love, positivity, and good vibes. Stay tuned for the song. Do not hang up yet.
It's not a special ed disability.
You ain't never said nothing. She ain't never said nothing. And he ain't never said nothing. Who the hell is it that said that I'm a
ADHD eclipses the academic opportunities for Black children and especially Black boys. What am I talking about? In special education, we have 13 diagnoses, 13 disabilities. What are they? Speech and language impairment, deafness, hearing impairment, blindness, brain injury, orthopedic impairment, autism, learning disability, emotional disturbance, other health impairment, and the list goes on. But when I say that special education is a weapon of mass destruction against Black boys, I'm talking about 4 specific disabilities. I'm talking about the learning disability. I'm talking about the emotional disturbance. I'm talking about intellectual disability. And I'm talking about ADHD is not a special ed disability. It's a weapon of mass destruction. Let me say it again. ADHD is not a special ed disability. It's a weapon of mass destruction against Black boys. ADHD means ain't no daddy at home disorder. Now you might say, well, my daddy's home. Okay. Then it ain't no discipline at home disorder. Well, the daddy's home and there's discipline. Okay. Then it's an artificial diet at home. Sugar, caffeine, high fructose corn syrup, right? And then you might say, the daddy's at home, we have discipline, and we vegan, vegetarian, we don't do sugar, caffeine, or fructose. Then there's only one more. Attachment disruption due to home life dysfunction. What is attachment disruption due to home life dysfunction? That's a boy who goes to school and misbehaves because his father's in jail and he don't get to see him. That's a boy that goes to school and can't pay attention because his parents might be chemically addicted. And because of that, there's problems at home. Or maybe he's being sexually abused or physically abused or verbally abused, or maybe the mother doing the best she can, but they have to move from house to house, or maybe even they're homeless. What is the point? My point is, what is often called ADHD is a family life situation or personal emotional situation or personal psychological issue disguised as a behavior problem. Disguised as a behavior problem. Disguised as a behavior problem. Disguised as a behavior problem.